She looked him up and down like he didn't belong, sat him near the bathroom, served him cold food, and told him the restroom was for real customers. What she didn't know, what no one in that restaurant knew, was that the quiet man she tried to humiliate wasn't just any guest. He owned the place, and tonight, he wasn't here to eat. He was here to watch. It was a golden Friday evening in Savannah, Georgia. The sky glowed soft orange, shadows stretching long across the cobblestones. Laughter floated from open shops, heels tapped the pavement like gentle music, and from somewhere down the E Street, a saxophone played lazy notes through the warm air. Inside the quiet hum of Sterling's table, everything felt polished, refined, comfortable. Candlelight danced across wine glasses. Silverware clinked softly on ceramic plates, and soft jazz played beneath the low murmur of a conversation. It was the kind of place where small details mattered. The plating, the pacing, the people. A place where the rules weren't always spoken, but they were felt. The door opened. A man stepped inside, tall, broad shoulders, skin smooth and deep like polished mahogany. He wore a white shirt, clean and pressed, navy slacks, worn but cared for, polished shoes, and a leather satchel slung gently over one shoulder. No watch, no jewelry, nothing loud, just presence. The kind that draws space toward it, without needing to try. Behind the hostess stand, Amanda looked up from her tablet. Her thumb froze mid-scroll. For a moment, her smile dipped. Just a flicker, then it returned, tighter now, and her brows lifted in that way people do when they've already made a judgment. "Can I help you?" she asked, eyes flicking from his shoes to his shirt. He gave a small nod. "Table for one, please," he said. Calm, steady. No apology in his tone, no need to explain why he was here. Amanda glanced around. There were open tables, a cozy booth near the fire, a seat by the window, bathed in soft light. Another, near the bar, untouched, but her fingers tapped the tablet like she was searching for something difficult. Her face tightened just slightly, and then she sighed, like doing him a favor. "Most of our tables are reserved tonight," she said. "But I do have something back here." She turned, motioned for him to follow. He walked behind her, past the glowing room, past the scent of roasted garlic and buttered bread, until they reached the back corner, a table near the restrooms, pressed against a bubbled, water-damaged wall. Steam drifted from the nearby kitchen doors. The smell of bleach hung in the air. The man glanced just briefly at the open booth he had passed moments before. He said nothing. "It'll be fine," he said. Amanda didn't respond. She just nodded and walked away. Her lips curled, not into a smile, but something colder, something satisfied. As he passed, a few diners, glanced up, a whisper here, a smirk there, but he didn't flinch, didn't rush. He placed his napkin in his lap with quiet care, and waited. Amanda returned with a menu. She didn't hand it to him. She set it down, 2 fingers, stretched arm, like she didn't want to get too close. Then she turned without a word, and left. He looked down at the menu, eyes scanning slowly. Wasn't trying to impress, just trying to find something. Simple, honest, trout, asparagus, herbed potatoes, unsweetened iced tea, no appetizer, no dessert. "No fuss," Amanda returned, heels clicking sharp against the tile. She didn't carry a notepad, just folded her arms. "Well?" she said, her voice pitched too high. He looked up, calm. "Yes," he said. "I'll have the trout, with asparagus, herbed potatoes, iced tea, unsweetened." Her eyebrows jumped. "Ooh," she said, dragging the syllables. Living large tonight, huh? That's what, $27? Must be a big day. His face didn't change. His eyes didn't blink. "AI, ordered," he said quietly. Amanda leaned in, lowering her voice. "You know," she whispered, lips curling, "we get guys like you all the time. Come in here, trying to play big shot with a paycheck meal. Order one nice plate. Act like you're royalty." She let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "Don't choke when you see." The tip line. He held her gaze. No anger, no smile, just stillness. She shifted, just slightly, glanced away, then straightened. "I'll put that in," she said. "Enjoy your splurge." She walked off. He sat, tapping a fingertip slowly on the table. Tap, tap, tap. Like a clock, counting down something unseen. All around him, the restaurant buzzed. Waiters weaved between tables. Wine poured. A child laughed somewhere near the front, but where he sat, there was no laughter. No light, no warmth, just the hum of fluorescent bulbs, the faint sting of bleach in the air, and the slow simmer of a man who had been here before, not just in restaurants, but in rooms where he was made to feel small. Tonight, he wouldn't say a word. Not yet. He was here. To see. To listen. To wait. And what Amanda didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the man in the corner wasn't looking for service. He was looking for truth. And truth was already walking toward her. When the food came, it didn't arrive with care. The plate was dropped, literally dropped. A dull thud against the table, the silverware tossed beside it. No order, no grace, like tools someone no longer needed. Amanda didn't make eye contact. "There," she muttered. "Bon appetit." The sarcasm in her voice was thick, so thick it nearly clung to the plate. Then she turned, disappearing into the crowd of tables without looking back. He stared down at the food. The trout was dull, edges curling like paper left in the sun. The asparagus, limp, pale, greasy. The potatoes were gray, uneven, mashed in haste and smeared carelessly across the plate. No garnish, no presentation, no pride. He glanced at the plates on other tables, perfect lines of sauce, bright, fresh greens, plates arranged like paintings. His looked like leftovers from a buffet at closing time. He reached for the napkin, unfolded it slowly, placed it in his lap again, deliberate and calm. Then he looked around the room. Not for help, not for a server, not even for Amanda. Just to see, to watch, to remember. Then his voice came, soft but firm. "Excuse me," he called. The sound cut through the room like silk through still air. Amanda turned, already annoyed. She made her way back with that same walk, heels stabbing the floor, arms crossed, mouth tight. "Yes?" she asked, dragging the word like. It cost her something. He gestured to the plate. "Is this," he asked calmly, "how this dish is usually served?" She tilted her head, smiled, sharp. "For people like you?" she said with a scoff. "Sure. We save the fancy touches for real customers." The words didn't shout. They didn't need to. They hit like a slap. He didn't flinch, didn't argue. But his jaw tightened. He picked up the fork, slid it through the dry trout, took a bite. Chewed. Slowly, like he was memorizing every insult baked into that fish. Then he set the fork down. Amanda lingered, expecting something. A reaction, complaint, anything. But he gave her silence, the kind that makes people uncomfortable. She turned, retreating into the dining room, her heels louder now, like echoes. But he didn't watch her go. He looked back at the plate, folded his hands, and sat still. Because this wasn't about fish. It never was. It was about lines. Invisible ones, drawn between who deserves and who gets tolerated. He didn't need to raise his voice. He just needed to wait. But the next insult came quicker than he expected. He stood, calm. Chair creaked behind him as he walked toward the restroom. Weaving through tables, he felt it. Eyes, glancing, some curious, some uncomfortable. Just as he reached the door, her voice cut the air. Sir, sharp, too loud, too sure of itself. He turned. Amanda was walking toward him, arms crossed, smile fake. "I'm going to have to ask you to stop right there," she said. His brow lifted. "I'm going to the restroom," he said. Her smile curled. "Main. Restrooms for customers only," she replied. He blinked. "I am a customer." She laughed, short, smug. "You've been here, what? 20 minutes. Spent what? $20? We have a policy. Guests have to spend at least 50 to use that restroom." He looked at her, calm. "That's not listed anywhere on the menu." "It doesn't have to be," she snapped. "It's company policy. You think we let just anyone use our facilities?" There was a pause. The air changed. He tilted his head slightly. "So you're saying I can't use the restroom because I didn't spend enough?" Amanda didn't flinch. "Correct. But lucky for you," she added, "there's another restroom, downstairs, in the basement, by the mop sink. Use the service stairs." He stared at her, long enough for her to start fidgeting. "Do other guests," he asked, "use the mop sink entrance? Or is that just for people like me?" Amanda blinked, cracked, just for a second, then rolled her eyes. "Don't make this a thing," she hissed. "You people always pull that card. I'm telling you the rule. Don't like it. Talk to someone who cares." He nodded once. Not agreement, just noting it. Then he turned. Walked toward the back. The hallway was dim. Floor changing from smooth tile to cold, stained cement. A flickering bulb overhead, a rusted pipe dripping in the corner. The basement restroom smelled like bleach and old drywall. The mirror cracked. Sink stained yellow. Plunger crooked in the corner. He washed his hands. Dried them on a paper towel that tore as he pulled it. Then he looked into the mirror. Not angry, not even sad. Just steady. Because what had been taken from him wasn't just comfort, it was dignity, and dignity, once denied, doesn't disappear. It waits. And when he walked back into that dining room, he would not return as the man who was seated beside the restroom. He would return as someone no one expected, and everything was about to change. When he stepped back into the dining room, something felt off. The light felt warmer. The clinking of glasses had softened. The buzz of conversation had thinned out, just a little. But in his corner of the restaurant, something was wrong. He slowed, then stopped. His table was gone. The chair, the plate, the glass, the napkin. Everything, cleared, where he had just been sitting minutes before, was now a clean, empty patch of tile, as if he'd never been there at all. A waitress nearby was wiping down another table, rag moving in casual swipes. She didn't look up until he spoke. "Where's my table?" he asked. She blinked, startled. "Oh, I think someone said you'd left." "I was gone for 4 minutes," he said. His voice wasn't loud, but something in it, pressed down on the room, made the music seem quieter, made forks hover mid-air. Amanda appeared, like she'd been waiting, heels clicking fast, smile already curled. "There you are," she said, fake brightness coating every word. "We thought you'd taken off." "You cleared my table," he said, flat. She shrugged. Well, we didn't know how long you'd be down there. We assumed you know, ditched the bill. He didn't move, didn't blink. His fists curled gently at his sides, and his jaw set. Don't lie, he said. The words landed heavy. Amanda raised her eyebrows. Excuse me. You watched me go down that hallway, he said. You knew I hadn't finished. You watched me leave my plate. Amanda scoffed. I'm not keeping track of every little movement, she said. You left. We cleaned. If you've got a problem, maybe talk to management. She smirked. Oh, wait. They're not here. Something changed in his eyes. That calm he'd been holding began to shift. Not explode, just narrow. He stepped forward once, just enough to close the space between them, and when he spoke, his voice dropped, low, sharp, like ice cracking. You made me eat garbage. You made a scene over a bathroom. You threw away my food, and now you're pretending it was a mistake. Amanda's eyes flashed, her voice turned cold. Look, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but I don't have time for entitled guests causing drama. You ordered cheap. You sat in the back. And now you're mad because I cleared your plate? She threw her arms up. Boo-hoo. Don't try to act like some kind of victim. He didn't move, didn't yell, but when he spoke, the room went still. Didn't abandon anything, he said. I followed your instruction. You told me to use the basement restroom, like I wasn't good enough for the one everyone else uses, and the moment I stepped away, you erased me. Amanda groaned. Oh, you're making this into such a big deal, she snapped. It was a table. It was a plate. You got your food. You want us to roll out a red carpet too? The restaurant had grown quiet now. The soft jazz in the background suddenly felt too sweet, too innocent, too far from the tension now thick in the air. People turned. Forks paused. A baby stopped fussing. The room was listening. He took a breath, reached into his satchel, pulled out a small, slim, black folder, the kind that doesn't belong in a restaurant, the kind that holds weight. He brushed his fingers over it, then looked up, met her eyes. No, he said, I don't want a red carpet. He opened the folder. I just want my property treated with respect. Amanda's smirk cracked. What the hell is that? She asked. A Yelp review? He handed her a piece of paper, not crumpled, not printed from home. It was thick, clean, official. Amanda read it. Her eyes froze, her smile dropped. This, he said, his voice cutting clean through the room, is the signed ownership agreement. I bought this restaurant chain 2 months ago, tonight. After finalizing some papers at our legal office across the street, I came here, quiet, alone, to see what it felt like, to walk through my door. Amanda said nothing. Couldn't, her lips parted. Then closed, then parted again. But no words came. The silence stretched, and all across the room, people started to realize. Servers stood still. Guests leaned in. Someone whispered, "No way," but it was real. And Amanda was standing in the middle of her worst moment, on the wrong side of the truth. He wasn't done. Now tell me, he said, his eyes locked on hers, why did you treat a paying guest like garbage? Why did you lie about policies? Why did you erase me the moment I left your sight? Amanda tried to speak, but all that came out was air. He didn't need to raise his voice, because the truth was loud enough, and the weight of it was only beginning to fall. Amanda's hands trembled slightly as she gripped the contract. Her voice came thin, stretched like it was trying to survive the moment. I didn't know, she said. I didn't. You should have said something. He raised an eyebrow. Said what? He asked. That I deserve basic human decency? A low murmur moved across the restaurant like wind through tall grass. Soft, but sharp, A man in the corner lowered his fork. A woman near the bar folded her arms. Watching, Amanda tried to steady herself. "Look, this is a misunderstanding," she said, forcing a weak laugh. "I was just doing my job. I didn't mean any disrespect." His reply was quiet, but it landed like stone. "You didn't mean disrespect," he said, "but you delivered it perfectly, with timing, with tone, with aim." Amanda's face flushed. She tried again. "You're twisting things," she snapped. "I treat everyone the same. You came in here dressed like—" She stopped herself. Too late. The words were already hanging in the air. Rotting. "Like what?" he asked. His voice was louder now. Not angry, just full, measured, clear, like someone who couldn't possibly own the building you work in. Like someone who didn't deserve a window seat, a hot meal, a bathroom. Amanda opened her mouth, but this time, no sound came out, just a breath, caught in her throat. And then, the front door opened. The restaurant manager, Todd, stepped inside, eyes scanning, face already tight with worry. A server had called him. He knew something was wrong. "What's going on here?" Todd asked. His voice tried to be steady. It wasn't. The man turned toward him, calm as ever. He handed over the folder. "Your employee," he said, "insulted me, lied about company policy, publicly humiliated a paying guest, then cleared my table before I even returned from the restroom she banned me from using." Todd opened the folder, read the document. His eyes widened. His mouth opened just slightly, then closed again. This is real?" he asked. "Yes," the man said. "It is." "And she," he added, nodding toward Amanda, "knew none of it, because she never thought I was worth knowing." Amanda's composure broke. Her voice cracked. "Todd, don't listen to this. He set us up." The man didn't blink. "You set yourself up," he said sharp. "All I did was show up hungry." Todd turned to Amanda. His voice was quiet, tired. "Tell me this isn't true," Amanda stammered. I was just following policy. He made me uncomfortable." That word, uncomfortable, echoed, dangerous in its vagueness. Sharp in its intent, Todd shook his head slowly. "There is no $50 restroom rule," he said. "You know that." Amanda looked stunned, like she'd just been betrayed by the very ground beneath her. Todd turned back to the man. I had no idea," he said. "Please, accept my apology on behalf of this location." The man didn't smile, didn't soften. "I'm not here for an apology," he said. "I'm here to make sure no one else gets treated like they walked in through the wrong door." Todd nodded, then turned. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Please, take off your name tag." Amanda gasped. "What? You're firing me?" she asked, voice cracking. Todd's eyes didn't move. "You did this to yourself," he said. "Hand it over." Amanda's fingers shook as she reached for the gold-plated badge. She held it out, like it burned. The man didn't take it. Todd did. The room stayed quiet. Still. No one defended her. No one spoke. Her heels clicked hard against the tile as she turned and stormed toward the exit. And then, one clap from near the bar, then another, then more. Awkward at first, then fuller, stronger, a wave of quiet applause, not for her departure, but for the man who never raised his voice, but raised the standard. He didn't bow, didn't smile. He simply stood, watching the door close behind her. Because this wasn't about revenge, it was about reclaiming something that should have never been questioned in the first place. Not his seat, not his meal, not his worth. Just his place at the table, and now that he had it, he wasn't letting it go. The applause faded, not into silence but into something deeper, a kind of stillness, like the room had just witnessed a moment bigger than itself. He stood there, one hand resting lightly on the back of a chair, the other still holding that slim, black folder, the one that had flipped the entire evening on its head. Amanda was gone, but her voice, her smirk, her venom, still lingered, like smoke after a fire. Todd, the manager, cleared his throat. "Sir," he said gently, "I'd like to review the footage if you're okay with that, just to make sure everything is clean for HR." The man nodded once. Not angry, not triumphant. "Please do." There was nothing left to argue. The truth had already been spoken. Now it would be shown. Todd stepped behind the bar, unlocked a door marked "Office," disappeared. Moments later, a young server came out holding a tablet. Her eyes were wide. Her hands gripped the screen like it was something fragile. "It's all there," she whispered. She told him to use the basement, laughed when he walked away, rolled her eyes. Then Todd returned, this time with a laptop in his hands, already paused on a still frame. Amanda, blocking the man's path, arms crossed, smirk in full bloom. With one click, the video began to play. The audio rolled gently through the restaurant's speakers, low but clear, and there it was, all of it. The cold welcome, the table by the restroom, the trout, the mocking voice, the lie about the bathroom policy, the cleared table. It played like a movie, but no one moved. Someone near the kitchen whispered, "Unbelievable." Another voice answered softly, "No, it's not. That's the problem." Across the room, a woman in her 60s stood up, gray hair, pearl earrings, eyes sharp as glass. She walked slowly toward him. No rush. She placed her hand gently on his arm. "Thank you," she said, voice trembling just a little, "for not walking out, for not staying silent." He nodded, his eyes softer now, his posture still steady. "Some things," he said, "are worth standing through." And at that moment, something even bigger was happening. Because while Amanda was walking out that front door, a teenager near the back had already gone live. He had streamed the entire confrontation, captured every word, every silence, every shift in power. By the time dessert was served, the video had 30,000 views. By midnight, it was trending. Hashtags lit up. "Dine with dignity, let him use." The restroom. He owns it. By morning, the story was everywhere. Some versions blurred Amanda's face, others didn't. But the story was clear. And this time, it didn't favor the comfortable. He never spoke to the media, never asked for revenge, never called for boycotts or lawsuits or speeches. He did something quieter, more powerful. He came back. The next night, same shirt, same quiet strength. He walked in the front door, and this time, his table was ready. Spotless. Warm. Lit by soft candlelight. The food was made with care. The iced tea. Just the way he liked it. No one rushed him. No one whispered. The servers didn't smile because they had to. They smiled because they wanted to. Todd stood nearby. No legal script in his hand. No rehearsed lines, just truth. "We're retraining the entire staff," he said quietly. "Top to bottom. Not because you're the owner, but because you shouldn't have to be, for them to treat you like a man." The man gave a small nod, not approval, not victory, just acknowledgement. That's all he ever asked for. Not the best seat. Not the fanciest meal, just a standard. A place at the table. Weeks later, a small brass plaque was installed. Not at the front, Not on a wall full of photos, but right there, in that quiet back corner, the spot where it all began. It didn't carry his name, didn't tell the full story. It just said, every guest deserves dignity, without question, without exception. When people asked who wrote it, the staff would simply gesture to a man who once sat there quietly, beside the restroom, and never once raised his voice. Only his standards. Because justice doesn't always knock down doors. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just sits down, orders trout, and waits. And when it stands up, everything changes.